And we're recording there. Awesome. Kris Van Damme in the Right Boundless studio with me. Thank you very much. Your name sounds very familiar. I think I've heard it once or twice.
I'm sure you have.
I'm sure everybody has. No, but what I was telling you is there was a series I was watching because we're talking about people documenting or recording or paying to say things like a therapy. But there's a guy. Where did I hear this? Somebody was telling me there was a Netflix show that they recorded and they're going to publish it. And this guy was getting paid $10,000 by people that were on their dying bed. You know, they were going to die. And it was like, I have another family, or, I have other children. I never told my wife. And he told these secrets to these people. And he goes, do me a favor. I don't want my brother to show up to my wedding or to my funeral, stuff like that. So these people pay him money, like $10,000, $15,000, and they say this secret. And then when they pass, they find out. And then they go to the funeral, and they'll be like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Or are you his wife? Yeah. He had 3 other lovers, Like, it's fucked up. Like, it's crazy,
What a business.
What a fucking business. Could you imagine that?
Great for a show, like an actual scripted show.
I think this...
Is that what this is?
So somebody was telling me they were working on that show or something.
It's an actual scripted show?
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out on Netflix or something like that.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And I was like, that's so fucking interesting. And then, like I was telling you before, other situations where it's like, sometimes people want to document their things. So it's like, what can I use this space for? Sure. I could do this podcast. I can rent it out so other people can do podcasts. Or maybe people just want to capture their life, and say, hey, you know what? I had a crazy... I'll give you one more scenario. Billy, I believe it was Billy Washington. Billy Washington, he went to my gym. Everybody knows this guy at the gym. They call him Will, okay? Black gentleman, late 50s, single father. Everybody knows this kid. Amazing. He does stunt doubles, all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I was going to interview him, and we were like, oh, let's do an interview. And, he'd mess with me. I'd mess with him. We'd say outlandish jokes to each other, like outlandish. He'd mess with my height. I'd mess with, And then I was going to interview him, but I had to cancel because I had to go fly to Dubai. So I went and took a flight to Dubai. I was out there I went to Dubai and then Armenia, and I was there for like 2 months. Anyways, I come back. Long story short, this guy that everybody at the gym knows that has been going to the gym forever stopped showing up. Finally I go, hey, has anybody seen Will? And they're like, he passed away. Oh. And I was like, oh my God, like he was a single father to his I believe he was like 12 or 13 years old. If I would have had the podcast, he would have been able to go listen to that episode and see how we joked around and see how we bullshitted and everything else.
That would have been very nice for his son, absolutely.
Yeah, so these time capsule things is like what I've been thinking about a lot.
I think it's smart. I think you should pursue it. I think it's a really cool idea. And I think life brought it to you in such a unique, real way. You didn't search for it. You didn't read a book and say, oh, I'm going to take this idea. This came from you because you're a guy who listens. You're a good person, and you've been through enough. I know you enough now to know that you've been through enough stuff in life and are going through so much shit that you know how to kind of control and output your energy towards things that actually matter in life, not just the nonsense we deal with on a daily basis. And that's rare, man. That's cool. I admire that.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Let me put this quiet.
Oh, me too. Yeah, sorry.
What's going on, man? Last time we spoke, you were working on the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Of course, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, as many people are. I'm sure you know the franchise well enough to find it cool. But I decided about, I think it was 4 years ago, to write, direct, and act in a Star Wars piece because Disney has Disneyfied Star Wars, and it's not really good storytelling anymore. It's not. It's garbage. And a lot of guys like Star Wars Theory, who I give a big shout out to. I'm big fan of his YouTube channel. Guys like the Stupendous Wave, Meta Nerds, all these dudes, fantastic guys that have inspired me to follow through with my dreams because these guys just say, get on there and do it. So I saved up some money. I sold some assets. And the night before writing the script, I was really thinking about the story, and I had an amazing dream that I was this character in that universe, galaxy far, far away, and I saw key fragments of his life within however long I was dreaming for in this reality. I don't know the time switch or comparison or translation. But I woke up at a certain point in the dream and I had the entire story in my head. So I got up. It was crazy. I started writing on sticky notes because I didn't find anything else. And I looked through my storage and found a little notebook that had old shit from animation days. And so I wrote on that. And I stopped. I think I woke up at 4:42 and I went to bed at 11:28 a.m. So 5 and some change writing. And then I slept
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 to 11.
Sorry. Yeah. 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sorry,
yeah. That's good.
I'm over
writing.
there.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, "Go back to bed." So I went back to bed, and then when I woke up, I started putting everything else in and it ended up being a 200-page treatment for a book that I want to write one day. But Lucasfilm has, So we shot this thing last year in Black Sands, Humboldt County. And what's crazy is that a lot of people who look at it think we shot in a 3D dome because of all the low angles. When I direct, I like low wide angles. It's very traditional. Plus, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like a mix of Rogue One and Empire Strikes Back. So we have a lot of low angles. So you always have a foreground horizon line, and then there's the epic, Humboldt County, Black Sands Beach background, which looks like Ireland or Greenland or Iceland or something crazy. So people think that we actually shot in a studio, but really we drove 10 and a half hours out there and we shot for 3 days and then, drove 10 and a half hours back. And now we're in post-production. We just locked the edit. We're doing previs, proxy models for visual effects. And then we're going to get into sound probably towards the end of this year to hopefully release next year. I think May 4th or I forget the original release date of Star Wars. We're either going to do May 4th, which I believe is the original release date, or the original release date, which happens to also be in May, which happens to be my birthday.
May what?
May 20th is my birthday.
May 26th, but you're Taurus.
I'm the last day.
Right.
So I forgot about that when we spoke over the phone. That's cool, man. So hopefully, or on George Lucas's birthday to honor George Lucas Star Wars, because that's like the Star Wars we grew up with. So again, we're wrapping things up, but we're taking our time, and I sold everything I own except for my bike I came here on.
I was going to say, you sold your car, you sold everything. Yeah. You're putting it all in this.
I did because
and just because you're a hardcore fan, not even as an it's an investment as a passion project, right?
Yes.
But not as a return or money. It's like,
there's not much I can monetize off of this. There's loopholes, but I don't want to risk it because this has become so toxic in the industry. I want to just share a cool story with the audience and younger generations who don't know classical filmmaking that artificial intelligence can now make look so real. I mean, if you put the money and coding into it, it can look as good as a Spielberg movie. Yeah. And you would know the difference. Like I just saw something my wife showed me this morning. It was POV, right? 1980s, what life was like. And I was like, this is getting scary good. And I'm not against AI for certain things, but for creation and switching up a story with switches on switches and flips and secrets and character arcs, I don't think, an artificial intelligence system or software can do that maybe ever.
Yet.
Yeah.
I don't know,
because human, we're pretty...
have you seen...
But who knows?
Have you seen how it's doing like... Biden and Trump and Kamala and how they're fighting each other and
it's hilarious.
Or they're just fucking they're tatted up or
it looks so real.
Or Putin's like knocking on a door and he's looking through it looks fucking pretty insane, dude.
It does, yeah, it does.
It's
insane.
Wild. I don't know, dude. I think,
but for writing a story, a character arc, like how a character learns to become someone he or she is supposed to become. That's stuff that it can probably eventually start doing on like a cliche format, I
don't know, dude.
But like,
have you messed with ChatGPT?
My wife does all the time. Yeah, she loves it.
Have you talked to ChatGPT?
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking to a person. It's crazy.
Like you could be like even what I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and the police and this and the report and this that and the court this that. What should I be looking for? Well, what you could look is for that. Well, you know what? Think about it as an attorney and respond and as a matter of fact, go online and find. Dude, like it is insane, dude.
It is,
and this is 4.0.
Yeah, I know.
This is like, it came out 3 years ago.
I know, it's insane. It's going to develop super quick. It's scary. That's why the first thing I said to my wife this morning was, wow, that's scary. Like, one of my good friends is an animator like I am, but he's stayed consistent with it because there's many reasons why I didn't continue, but he's still in it, and he learned softwares and stuff. And the new How to Train Your Dragon's coming out, but it's almost storyboarded identical to from what I understand so far in the trailer shots. I don't know the film; I haven't seen it. Obviously, didn't come out yet, but it's almost storyboarded identical to how it was animated. And so he's like, yeah, it's a cash grab. They know that was successful. Now they're doing it. But the casting's pretty good in terms of who plays Hiccup. The girl, I'm not too sure. But anyway, it's just unique to see some of the AI technology put into that. And then I'm sure they used it to like marry, hey, look, this is the old movie. How can we storyboard this movie? I'm sure they use AI for these types of things. Generating contracts, robots washing your dishes, cool. Like, fine. But talking about stories, like Gladiator, Star Wars, or Love Story, or Apocalypse Now, or The Godfather. These movies, like, there's so much going. LA Confidential, great picture, fantastic.
My favorite. I told you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's a classic. You can't. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like, I'll give you another example too. Superman. If you
Which
go
one?
back, the beginning ones.
Oh yeah, of course.
Chris
Reeves.
Shit.
Or
the graphics, the Chris Reeves.
Yeah.
The graphics
But
were shit, but the story
there.
and the heart and this, that. And then when I saw the last one with what's his name, Calvin? Is it Calvin? The fucking European dude. The British
dude. Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Dude, when Man of Steel, I think, right?
Man of Steel. That's right.
That was the first movie. Even though the graphics were insane, I'm so sorry if this offends anybody. It's the first time I fell asleep in a movie theater, and I had my son. It was like wow, and hurricane, and I was like, the graphics are insane, but the story sucks.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you know the Jaws story, right? Why Jaws 1 was so good.
I know a story why, but tell me this one.
So the reason Jaws was so good, the first one is because they deleted like 40% of the shark attacking.
Right, mystery. Yeah.
So, but do you know why they deleted it?
Just look terrible, or
no?
Why?
Because Steven Spielberg tested the shark in fresh water, but when he took it into salt, it got rusted and it got stuck, and it didn't work.
Okay, I should know this story.
It didn't work, so they had to fill in the script because they were already on a budget and booking.
That's great.
So they just filled in. So then you only saw Jaws like 3-4 times or something.
But then it was more scary.
It became more scary.
Like Alien.
And this is why Jaws became so successful. But it was an accident. Because they had Jaws coming like, oh, and then he'll eat this, and he'll eat kids, and they'll come on the sand. But that didn't work.
Legs. Wow.
But those kind of things.
That's life checking in.
That storytelling is what we're... Actually, to your point, is that storytelling that doesn't exist as much. Because sometimes you kind of like the AI will react, well, it'd be cool if the shark does appear a bunch of times.
Right.
And execute it, but then it's those human errors that makes things more natural.
Yes,
more
that's something that I think is like, it's ingrained in life's web, like calculation web. There was a story, I think John Milius spoke about. There was a documentary about John Milius. They used to call him the Lion or something of Hollywood. And he was the guy that was always under the table for scenes in Apocalypse Now, scenes in Jaws.
Great.
Amazing movie. So Spielberg spoke to John. They all kind of went to school together. Coppola, Spielberg, Lucas, Milius, all these guys, Zemeckis. And Spielberg reached out to John saying, hey, I need some help with this script. The studio doesn't want it because there's no story. This is when studios wanted story. Right. Now they just want action and popcorn, what they can bank off of it because technology, blah, blah, blah. So John Milius wrote the scene in Jaws where they're with the captain in the boat. I forget the characters' names, but the three dudes and the three guys total, with the captain being one of them, he spoke about how terrifying this beast is. And then says off to bed or whatever, and he goes to bed. And the next day, it's the whole battle in the water at the end of the movie. And that scene is what tied everything together because all you had was a shark hunting people.
Right.
And then after a while, it's okay, but where's the heart? And that was a cool time of cinema. Now it's like, you look at any Star Wars picture, like the Alkalite, absolute garbage. And I'm sorry for those if I offend you guys, but I have no problem saying this. And many more than those who would agree with me. It's just toys, Walmart, it's plastic. My costumes took a year to build for my Star Wars piece, and they're like, yeah, just CNC something or resin something, and
3D print.
We 3D printed, but we painted it layer after layer. We made damage in it. We made it look like history. So when we have the close-ups with the long lens, you really feel the blaster marks, the deterioration, the blood running through the steel. Like it's or the Durasteel. It's really like authentic. And I think that's production design is something that people connect to subconsciously nowadays.
Would you agree with before it seems like movies were made to entertain, now they're kind of made to distract?
I think so. I think it's sad because they used to be an escape entertainment. You can leave,
Because there's so much bad shit, man.
I know, bro. It's horrible, bro. It's terrible. You go to, in the 90s, when we grew up, it was like you go to the cinema to escape for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Now you go to the cinema to
like
hope.
A trip. It was,
you
go on a trip.
Like an adventure.
Like
exactly.
You're jumping in a book.
Yeah, exactly. And that's beautiful. It's like going to the theater. Now it's like going to the theater will have to be like the repercussions of that and then back to cinema again, which is like, why do humans do this? Why do they grow and then shut down because of greed or whatever the quick, easy answer would be? I think that's also a form and attraction of evolution, and then build again and then shut down. But are we going up slightly, or are we just kind of staying on the same line?
Did you watch the new show on Netflix called Aftermath?
No.
Don't.
Okay.
Okay. I stopped it 4 times. I was like, oh,
that bad, huh?
And then I was like, dude, there's nothing to watch. Let me see if I can watch it. Oh my God. It was, I can't even finish it.
Man.
So, the graphics, the storytelling, what's happening, it doesn't make sense. Like
it sounds like the Alkalite to me.
Yeah. Like what the
or the Book of Boba Fett.
God, there's no logic. It's just, I don't get it.
I don't get it either, man. And it's just,
what do you think it is? But why? But what's like the goal? What's going on through their minds? Like, trust me, I know you and I will agree with like, who would fund this? Like, how many movies get made? And you're like, who would fund this?
Honestly, Robert, at the end of the day, I think it's a sensitivity bracket. I think when you know how to connect with people like you do, or speak with people and able to tell stories a certain way that you're easy to listen to because you're authentic. When you're able to tell an authentic story that a sensitivity bracket would understand, meaning your sensitivity level. You're not limited by what all this is. You're not limited by anything but what's inside, which is your creative mind. So when you float in that realm and you vibrate on that frequency, I think that is what brings people together. And that's how great writers tell great stories. I mean, most of the stories we grew up with in Hollywood are based on experiences from people had, and then writers put 2 and 2 together and make it work because they're on that frequency. It doesn't take rocket science to kind of meditate, so to speak, and get to know yourself, to be able to find that creativity inside you, because I think everybody has it, some less than others. That's why you have one Tarantino, one Spielberg, and one Lucas and all that. But there are people that get it and can look at it and evolve on it. And that's the human race. The human race is building one rock, another guy comes, puts another rock, and then that guy says, oh, well, let's put him like this and put a third rock. Oh, that's actually more, oh, wow, pyramid and trapeze, and the wheel was born, and blah, blah, blah. So with movie making, it's very much like that. And I'll give another Star Wars example. George Lucas, he, in the 80s and 90s, he built this beautiful galaxy we all know, and then had these far away, very far away. Who knows if it's even running at the same time? And this galaxy has all these characters and creatures that each have a story. Just like when you're on the freeway and you look at every car and you're like, my God, how many stories, right? And then there's the houses and the buildings and the world. And so all these characters, then people write comics or stories or draw created stories that they presented to Lucasfilm saying like, hey, this is actually how I see the life of Boba Fett. And some of them were denied, and some of them must have been terrible, and some of them must have been great. And they were approved, Lucasfilm stamp. Here's the author's name, here's the artist we hired, and then they expanded on the universe. And so that's kind of like the rock theory. You just put one, the other one, and the one follows. And when you love something or can connect to it, I think it's easier to create for it. So with Star Wars, that's what we did. We just kind of took our love for it. And my team is amazing. I have an amazing cinematographer, an amazing sound engineer who came off of Star Wars. He walked out of Skywalker Sound. He worked for them on 2 movies and then said, I can't work in this. He compared it to the Nazi regime. Yeah. And this is a early 40s, 42, 43 years old. But he didn't live in World War II, but Gina Carano said working for Disney is like working for the Nazi regime. There must
or for Elon Musk. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You know what I mean? It's just like it's crazy how if 2 people are saying it, then where are we going with this? It's so sad to see cinema slowly die. It's really sad. So
truly, it's dying.
Yeah, it's dying. And I don't know what I'm gonna do because people are like, well, who's Kris Van Damme? He's the son of Jean-Claude Van Damme, the action star, right? Okay, but does he kick like his dad? That's the first thing. Does he do splits?
Right.
Yeah, I can do all that stuff but I choose not to. I'm more of a thespian at heart. So all I want to do is tell good stories. So I took the Coca-Cola of science fiction and I try to make it taste a little better like it used to taste in the 50s, which I can only dream of because I was born then. So, and that, just doing our best with what we have to, fight the machine or Rebel Alliance against the Empire. Of course. It's like that with anything in life, I think. Movies, writing, speaking, just government. Jesus, government.
My frustration right now is why is so much stupid shit so good? Sorry, I worded that so wrong. I worded it right, but it's not good. Why is stupid shit or minimalistic shit or dumb shit so fucking popular? It gets super. It's like the
pure entertainment, pure popcorn.
It's not even entertainment. I'm sorry. I'll bring up Hawk 2 Girl. Okay, what the fuck? Come on. I mean, she went from like yeehaw, Hawk 2, and fucking billionaire and fucking meme coin, and then she became a trillionaire and a zillionaire, and then she's losing it all, and she's getting fucking sued and blah blah. What the fuck? The guy, stuff. The other guy. No disrespect. Again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. No, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just trying to understand the formulas.
Sure.
The guy, why are you gay?
Oh, yeah.
That guy's now in Dubai. That guy's in Singapore. That guy's in fucking New York. And he's like,
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I mean, no, to him. Yeah.
Like, why are you gay?
Yeah.
Like, there's writers. There's a podcast. I'm not going to name her out. Well, I said her. Whatever. But it's the most awkward, boring, depressing.
It's quick cash. It's quick.
But why? But people watch it.
Yeah, because they're so bored because they haven't gone inside themselves to self-reflect and grow as people. So what they do is they just grab this and then they're on it for a long time, and then they're like, "Oh, look, my algorithm that feeds you subconsciously, and you're stuck in this whirlpool." What's going on in the human mind
that it's like? I guess you don't have to think or something, or you don't have to comprehend.
What I think it is wanting to grow as a person is one of the most challenging and beautiful things you can do for yourself. And when you get lost in the whole feed of this, it does things for you and you don't have to do anything. You like lay back and take it, and you become one of 100. That it feels good. And the sensitivity bracket again thing is like, well, your mind's probably at some point where your spirit, if you're spiritual, it's going to say, hey, this is synthetic. This feels fake. Let's go back on track. Or life hits you because you have a greater purpose if you believe in destiny, and all of a sudden you're doing something else. And you thought you were going to start with that, but then you're aware of those things. Like my father used to say, and he said a few things in his life that I really agree with, and one of them was being aware of yourself. And it's one of the most brilliant things to say. It's like saying, why are you gay? Well, why are you aware?
Right.
What do you mean? Exactly. What did I just say? What does that mean? Where can that take you?
You know what that reminds me of? Did you see the Kobe Bryant and Kanye West commercial?
I don't think so, no.
Dude, it's so fucking great. Let me see if I could.
Yeah,
real quick,
yeah, for sure.
Because it's a classic.
You should hook up a computer here, and then we could screen form, capture what we. Because I was trying to do that with my brother recently, and he set something up because we wanted to launch a podcast, and it's so cool to show the audience what we're looking at.
Oh. How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records.
But I'm the best.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
You're welcome.
Is this AI?
No, it was a real commercial back in the days.
No way.
Oh yeah, dude. Look, 13 years ago, 3.4 million.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it was so random and so hilarious. And he goes, I want more. He goes, but I'm the best. He goes, but are you, but more.
It's great. It's great analogy for what we're talking about.
Well, another one of that hit different now. And it's funny because you read the comments and you're like, dude, for me, I one of the comments said, and I related to this comment, was I was too young to understand what he meant. And it was this one. Do you remember this one?
It's awesome, man. I had no idea. 13 years ago. What was I doing 13 years ago? Jesus.
Look, this one's 9 years ago. And let's see if you remember this.
Okay.
But look how it hits different now.
Oh, yeah.
It's so different.
Do it!
I love him.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there.
That's right.
No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
And remember how we used to make fun of it? And remember how he was using the green screen? People were joking. We're like, what
Did
a
the
fucking
same my dad
stupid.
in Aware. Same thing.
Yeah, like people made a joke about it, but like it really, I just ran into this again like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and I go, dude, this hit really fucking different.
When you're on that frequency, you'll get it. You know, when you're living in the same relatability, you'll get it. And when my father was saying aware this, aware that, aware this, yeah, he was, on drugs. Yeah, he was doing this. Yeah, he was doing that. But the brain is the brain connected to the mind, and that unique frontier of science and spirituality is very interesting to live within. It's a frequency that's very difficult because you're constantly calibrating. But he's right. And I actually had the honor to work with, I love Shia LaBeouf. I had the honor to work with his father, Jeff, who's a fantastic person. And I haven't heard from him in a couple of weeks now, maybe a little longer than that, almost a month actually. He used to send me good morning every morning. And like every morning. Good morning, Kris. Have a great day. God bless you. Jeff LaBeouf, a phenomenal human being. And I spent time with him at his place a couple times and, sat down on his carpet, very minimalist place. And he told me about his life as a professional clown and how he traveled the world and was with the Hells Angels for a little bit in like South America. Crazy story. And
I think you told me about this back when you were hanging out. Yeah.
Oh, he's an amazing person. You should have him on the show.
I'd love to.
I'll talk to him and give him your number. He's got, he's just so interesting and he's hilarious. And I have more respect for Shia knowing his father and knowing how the psychology is father and son butting heads when they were young. I'm sure he's been through the mill with him because of putting two and two together. But they also had that movie that he made about Honey Boy.
Honey Boy, that's right.
And Jeff right now is supposedly writing the sequel. Which is great. And they're working together, which is beautiful to see because I wish I could do that with my dad. I've written so many scripts with my brother for our father, and it just always tanks for various reasons. And it's sad because it comes from within. It's a whole different world. And we can talk about it, whenever we come back to it lightly. But with Shia, what's cool, I remember it was 2000. This was like one of the best days of my life as a 20-year-old. I was in, I think it was 2013 or 14, and my dad was invited to Jay Leno. And so the group Fun had come out, and they were like an alternative rock indie band. And, it was very like 20s, 16, 17, 18-year-olds crowd. But I love the messages in the music. There was a lot of messages in the music. The lyrics were great. And so I fell in love with this band, me and my buddy at the time. And my dad was invited to Jay Leno, and so he gets on Jay Leno, and the guest star, the other star, is Shia LaBeouf. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm fangirling in the back green room, shit, oh my God, I'm gonna be Shia. And I have a picture with him, which is great. And Fun was playing. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, thank you, God. And so, and I had a really cute girlfriend at the time, so everything was cool, in the 20s. And when I met Shia LaBeouf, he was a super humble guy, super down to earth, spent some time with us. You could see in his eyes, like when I talk to you, you feel through the gateway of the soul, as people say, you feel the reality, you feel the truth. When someone's fake. Yeah. You know when they're suffering. You know when they're masking sadness with a happy smile. You can feel it.
Right.
That's the frequency when he's saying just to do it. You get it.
Right. But that video, nothing's changed in that video in 9-10 years.
Yeah.
Except for the way that you're receiving it.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, it's like when I watched that, the first, I remember I was laughing my ass off. I go, this guy's fucking crazy. This guy's out of his fucking mind. Look, he lost his cuckoo. Fucking look. Hey guys, did you see this shit, Guillermo? It was absurd. And now I'm like,
yeah.
And that's why I like reading the comments because comments are, first of all, are hilarious. I mean, we got some fucking comedians. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
comments are
Some people are
some
amazingly talented.
memes,
Yeah.
and some comments are just straight out comedy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
And that's creation too.
it's creation. It's beautiful.
It's the rock on the rock again.
You know, but
building off
to see how many people were like, you know, we weren't ready for this, we didn't understand, we were a joke, this, that. It's like I relate to almost every comment on those videos now. And if you look at those comments now versus those comments back then,
amazing. That's evolution.
that's evolution, and it just shows you how advanced he was at the time and how
Exactly.
frustrated he really was.
Yeah.
You know, like, guys, just fucking do it. Just do it. Like, yesterday you said today, fucking do it. You know?
And it's crazy because that line, just do it, okay, Nike and all that, it's the simplest way of how do I get a life out in 3 words? How do I get this experience out in 3 words for the new generation or the generation growing at the time to understand me? My dad's was be aware. I mean, just take that extra 3 seconds to think, I guess. And they wrote books about him and made fun of him and all this stuff. And yeah, okay, you can go there. And usually people poke fun because they're insecure about themselves and they know it's true, but they don't want to face the truth because growth is scary.
Right.
Growth is the scariest thing you could do for yourself to grow in life. I
Yeah.
mean, that means losing. Are you ready to lose all the
risk?
risk? And but growth inside. Like, are you ready to lose everything? Like every single penny you own, every asset you own. When I did Star Wars, I sold 2 cars and 6 motorcycles, and I was used to having a luxurious life that I worked hard for over a period of 15, 17, 18 years, really, really hard for with different businesses and regular jobs, which I still work as one, just to keep me grounded because Hollywood life is crazy. But at that time in my life, I was scared to move my chessboard pieces.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm not going to put it all in. But when you really want something, you just got to do it. You got to put it in because it's gonna give back. Life gives back to those who really believe and love what they want to do. Doesn't matter what it is.
But they need to know what they want to do.
Correct.
That's a big difference.
You got to know your purpose.
Yeah.
You got to be aware of your purpose. Thanks, Dad. You know, and
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Look, I'll tell you something real simple. I think it was what was it? I think it was just Saturday. I was like, you know what? Let me start. You know, I'm getting a little older, and I'm like, you know, I got to start stretching more. I got to start, you know, doing this. Maybe I got to, you know, focus on a better morning routine, and then I was playing some motivational speeches and stuff like that, and then it was like, you know, love yourself. And I was like,
yeah,
what? Like anybody's gonna be like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, but
For me, I was like, what do you mean love myself? Love yourself, accept yourself.
yeah,
Care about yourself, take care of yourself, love yourself. And as I'm hearing this, to me, I was like, oh my God, like I haven't done this. You know, you know, I have a 6-year-old, I have a 16-year-old. You know, I'm dealing through this, and I'm dealing through. Everybody's dealing with a bunch of stuff, but you know, I got that, you know, divorce last year and dealing with this, and I'm so worried about, you know, who's gonna think what, and who should I reach out to, not, and who's friend that I haven't been paying attention to myself, and I'm listening to this, and I'm trying to, like, you know, meditate and this, that, and next thing you know, I was just like hugging myself. I was like, dude, this was so fucking necessary. I haven't accepted myself. I haven't loved myself. I haven't cared for myself. I've been so, it's like I almost been using my 6-year-old, like I love him so much. I mean, we all love our kids, but I love him so much that I use it also as a distraction. Because at that moment, it's like, oh, I'm dealing with this. Oh, he's here. Tag, you're it. Let's go. You know, let's fucking ride our bikes. You know, that's his little dirt bike over there.
so rad. I was going to point out, it's really cool.
Oh, dude, he's killing it on that. But
No, he's going to be a strong rider later.
oh,
That's great.
dude, he's destroying it. but it's interesting because these little messages and these little clues and these things, like, you know, just do it. You know, don't think what you want. You need to think what you have it.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing.
Yeah, be to have to be, all that.
Yeah.
you're right.
Law of attraction. Law of attraction. One of the things that I took away from that video when I saw that 15 years ago or longer was, you know, the way that it works is you have to dream about it and you have to think about it, but you have to put a time. You can't say, I want a Ferrari.
Yeah.
I want a Ferrari.
Yeah, you got to work. You got to put in the work.
Well, not only the work, but you got to be like, I want a Ferrari, but when do you want the Ferrari?
Right.
Next year, I want a Ferrari. Cool. How are you going to do it?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to take this. You know, it's like the perfect example. If you want to be an Olympian athlete, you can't just sit home and think, oh, I'm going to be the greatest. I'm going to be. No, you have to exercise and work out. You got to work towards it. You got to have your goal and you got to work towards it.
Yes, you're right.
You know, so.
My sister's big on that. She's been through a lot in her young life, and she's younger than me. I'm the oldest of three. And she sets goals for herself.
You guys linked up later in life, right?
So Bianca and I, we've always been close because we have the same mom. But my brother and I, different moms, we linked up. We went our separate ways. Excuse me. Went our separate ways in I think it was the late 90s. And then we got back together in the mid 2000s.
God.
And so that was difficult because we had such a great foundation of like creativity, and we understood each other's genetics from, you know, dad being the same dad. We saw traits that we helped each other with that we still point out, hey, you know, don't be like that, or try to be a better person.
And let's not forget what your sister was saying, because that's when I interrupted. I apologize.
No,
But
no
your mom was a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah, she was a world-class champion bodybuilder in the 80s.
88?
Gladys Portuguese. 88, 84, 85, and 80. I think it was 83, 84, and 85. But she's in fantastic shape. She's almost 70, and she's still got her 8-pack. She's lean. She still lifts weights. She trains. She does it less than before for her age,
Right.
but she's in great. It's amazing. She's 68 or 69 now, or 68, I believe, and she looks like she's 54.
Amazing.
She's amazing. I'm so inspired. You know, it's crazy because
and she's American, Puerto Rican.
yeah, she's Puerto Rican American. Yeah, second generation Puerto Rican.
Nice.
That's why.
New Rican.
New Rican. Yeah,
Nice.
from
Oye, saludos. Mamá, ¿cómo estamos?
You know, I just found out that Benicio del Toro,
Benicio.
Sorry guys, is fantastic. I love him. But he's Puerto Rican. I had no idea. I can't believe it. I know.
Hold on,
I know.
hold on.
Please laugh at that.
Wait. Right? Oh.
That's perfect.
Where is it?
Yeah, that's even better.
That's the one I was looking for.
I had no idea, and I thought traffic got me on the Mexican past the border.
Yeah, Trump.
He's such a great actor, but no need for forgiveness on my end, guys. I'm sorry, but
Two things with Benicio. One, did you see that Heineken commercial that he made?
I don't think
He
so.
made one of the best fucking Heineken commercials in the world. He goes, when I drink, I like to drink a Heineken beer because you can travel the world and it's a well-respected alcohol drink or beer drink of preference like me. And then he's like on a train, and then some people are like knocking on the window. They're like, it's him. And he's like, haha. And they're like, look, it's Antonio Banderas. And he's like, it's like, fuck.
The one international Latin star. It's funny because my father always says there are 3 from Europe. Well, it's like 4. There's me, there's Dolph, there's Antonio Banderas, and then there's Audrey Hepburn. And she was Belgian. I had no idea until I was a teenager. He told me that. But yeah, it's cool that's hilarious writing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, there's that one. And I need to throw in a fun fact. You know Desi Arnaz, right?
Yes.
Okay, Desi Arnaz, he changed the film industry
Yes.
with multi-cameras.
That was him?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so Desi Arnaz has 2 records. Number 1, he was the first immigrant with terrible English and speaking on another language in American television in the United States history.
And it was hilarious. It was great.
It was hilarious. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. And he's the one that created the multicams. Like, guys, why are we using one camera and stuff? And we have to why don't we record multiple? And he did that. And then a buddy of mine taught me that because he went to NYU, and he goes, that's the first thing they teach you.
Fantastic. That's Cinema Base 101. That's
Yeah, Desi Arnaz was the creator of that.
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
And he bought the production company within the first few years, and it was the #1 show.
Wow.
Desi Arnaz's I Love Lucy, just for the people. Yeah.
Oh, amazing show. My mom still watches it. She has it on every morning.
My mom. My mom has seen them all.
Oh, yeah.
Does she have a favorite?
My mother's favorite episode is the Chocolate Factory episode, the cliche. But it's so the timing of Lucy, just so great.
I'm gonna send you one. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I've only seen it once, but there's one where Ricky had to make he had to film a movie, and he had to edit it, and he had to show it to a producer because they were giving him this chance to show his film.
Great.
And it was like one of his Babalu. Oh, and he's the creator of the mask Cuban Pete. They call me Cuban Pete. on the razor, and he sings it. If you put "I Love Lucy," Cube and Pete, you'll see Desi Arnaz singing it in the 50s.
No way.
Yeah, Jim Carrey copied it from him. But anyways,
Oh my God. Okay.
so he does this film edit,
Cool.
on his Club Babalu, you know.
Yeah.
But Lucy's like, Ethel, there's these movie producers coming, and I think we can do our cowboy movie and edit it to Ricky's film. Dude,
wait, I think this sounds familiar. I think I might have seen this one. Are they sneaking shots or something on stage while he's doing things, or is it
no?
they're
So
putting it in the edit?
He films and he has his edit done, and then they film and they cut their edit into it.
That's great.
So then when the director comes to watch this film, Ricky has no idea. The film plays backwards, and they're cowboys like yee-haw, and then it's Ricky like singing, and Ricky's like, oh, what the?
It's fucking great.
It's so
So advanced for its time too, man.
1955, 56, or 57.
So great.
Yeah.
You can feel it too on camera. I mean, these actors, these performers, they were so good, man. They were so good. They were so
It
talented.
was human.
Yes,
human.
exactly what we were talking about before. Is that it's become less human.
I'm sorry. The ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it.
I've been diagnosed with both.
Sister,
Yeah.
Your sister.
That's actually a gift. It's being able to make a point in your spider web in your mind and then come back to it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
actually building freeways.
Louis C.K. is my favorite.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, no, she going back to what you were saying about setting dates for yourself. It's a true thing. She has financially lost a lot, gained a lot, and she did her Wall Street hiccup, and we all go through it. But she's learned
Multiple
about
times.
a lot of times.
Life's hard.
It is, and she went through a lot of ups and downs with her life living in New York and stuff. It's it's a fast-paced town, but she's tough. She's become tougher, but more importantly, she's become very loving of herself, like you said, and she's learned to set goals and time frames for things to happen. And if she doesn't arrive in time, she doesn't beat herself up for it. A lot of people would. You can't, because maybe you need to go through something else before you actually get all that financial wealth or knowledge, whatever it may be. The point is sometimes life has things planned out for you. Like my ex, who I don't like speaking about, but one thing I thank that experience for is she was a basic mirror to myself of who I was with my previous girlfriend to her. So it, like a karmic lesson, so to speak. Some people may understand it as that. They teach you something as like a reflection, and if you don't catch on to it, or if you catch, even worse, if you catch on to it and don't change, that's being scared of growth. And it's the hardest and most beautiful thing is growing as a person, as a spirit, whatever it may be, as an individual. This temple needs to keep growing. So it's take care of your body, have a fun diet, have fun. Don't kill yourself unless you're allergic to something.
How much do you weigh?
Oh God, I don't know. Weigh myself. I think I'm. Let's see. In kilograms. Sorry, America. It would be 87, 88 kilos, which would be what 188, 187, something like that.
Yeah.
Pounds. I fluctuate between the late 180s and the early 190s. I think right now I'm somewhere in the middle there. But I train every day. I train Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays I take a break and I eat ice cream and I drink beer and all that stuff, and I go on a motorcycle ride, and I just enjoy my life. But Sunday I just do push-ups and I ramp back into the week again. But every day I do push-ups plus a workout. So
Yeah, but you do 10 sets of 30. You do 300 push-ups a day.
yes, around about, yeah. Sometimes it fluctuates between 210, 240, and 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending how I feel. I've learned to let go of my ego when I'm like 60 more, and the next day I'm waking up with joint pain because I'm getting older. So I'm learning to adapt to my age. Because as we get older, things slow down. I'm stretching more.
Yeah.
So the kicks and the martial arts are good because I did martial arts since I was 5 years old. My father trained me, and some professors here and there, some teachers here and there, but mainly him. Genetics plus, advice. And my mom was a world-class athlete as well. So I have kind of a very good foundation, fortunately. But I didn't let it go to waste. I put it. There was a time when I was an alcoholic, and I just kind of didn't care about anything because of what I was going through in my life. And I learned to get out of that. It was about a good 8 years of my life, 7 years of my life, and I got back on track.
What made you realize you were an alcoholic?
It was during. I was going to a bar every night after work on a regular job, and because my mind lives in a galaxy far, far away, so to speak, or on a different dimension.
All of our minds don't do.
Right. They do. We're not alone. A creative artistic bandwidth. All I know is how to, put stories together and tell good stories and put pictures together. I'm good at that. Everything else, I'm not a Wall Street broker. So I didn't, I tried the auditioning world, thousands of auditions, and I still do it. I learned to go back to it. And, sometimes you go to an audition and you almost get taken advantage of, or you get the part, then it cancels. You get down, you go for a drink, you're all these thoughts in your head. What's my existence? Fights with your parents. Was dad what he said to me at that time or multiple times over true? Am I this? Am I that? Am I really, a loser? Am I really just under the shadow of, the big name? And technically you are under the shadow, but doesn't mean you can't cast your own shadow. And if you accept it as a shadow, I see it now as a trampoline more than anything, but it's tough. My dad and I, we butt heads a lot, and it's unfortunate because we've had some great moments and we've had some moments where it was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And some moments where it's like, you guys are going to kill each other. Stop it. So there's a lot of ups and downs. I've learned to forgive a lot of things, but not to forget, and just trying to find my traction in all this. So
what would be, and again, I'm not trying to disqualify any
fine.
of the bad or anything like that. But
cool.
but what were the highlights of being Jean-Claude Van Damme's son?
The highlights were,
Because everybody could imagine,
yeah, of course.
it's not easy, it's hard, it's challenging. This,
Yeah,
that.
I get all different kinds of messages.
Right. but people want to, people like the romance of like the happiness, like the movie.
Of course,
What,
of
what-
course.
What were the highlights?
Of course, all that scripted.
Scripted. What's the script?
So the thing is, there were some highlights. It was cool to see my father, because there was points when he was known in the 90s for a lot of things. He did a lot of drugs in the 90s and stuff. Came from it, and I think he still struggles with a few things. I'm not going to give any details, but he still struggles.
But it's also kind of hard because the 90s was that time too.
Yeah, and he was the alpha mech guy with Schwarzenegger and all those guys. I mean, at that time he was in his late 20s, 30s, so there were beautiful women, there were enticements, and he took it all. And rightfully so, you live life, but you have to learn from it and grow from it, which he did in a lot of ways, but he never really grew for himself. It was always for others. He always put others first to a certain degree, but then he would. Anyway, there's a lot to him, and he's overall a fantastic human being, but he's suffering a lot inside, and he can change that himself. But I think he chooses not to for whatever reason. The domino effect of his parents, the way they raised him, and then their parents, the way they raised them, and that whole interlinking system was never healed. And I speak about this to my wife a lot because she's learned the family recently, and I tell her, look, I want to have kids when I know. Can't plan kids, obviously, but if we could in a perfect world, I want to make sure I'm going to be there as a father for them, because my father wasn't really there for me. And granted, he was working and doing all this stuff, and if it wasn't for that sacrifice, he wouldn't be the man he is today. But I've had during that crazy mess, I've had probably in my life, I'm 37 now, I've probably had 3 or 5 times that I've actually enjoyed in my life my father, and each one was a couple hours long, which is really sad to say. I wish I could say, man, countless, but I can't. My friends and their dads have great relationships, and when I see it, it really triggers, but it is what it is. And so I've learned to just try to embrace those memories the best possible, but them so well. And what's the hard part is knowing them so well and knowing what could have been for them and for us as a family, and where they're suffering. And you try to help them for multiple decades straight, but it's not your fight to fight. That's their fight. But because you love them, you feel it is. So I just try to play it on repeat, like something in Harry Potter where you look at a picture frame and it's moving always, and it cycles itself over and over. Riding bikes with my dad, him teaching me how to kick, sharing a beer with him where he wouldn't go on a tangent and get drunk and then end up somewhere else, and I'd have to babysit him all night. These things, these moments where he was just really good with himself, reflected in the world we live in, and I was like blown away of, wow, I can have a dad that's cool like this. And that thought really fucked with me for a while. So I got in this depressing moment in my life, this very depressing moment where I just said, alcohol is easy to forget things, so I'm just going to start drinking a little bit. And 1 became 5, and 5 became 20, and no liver poisoning. I still trained every day, but I was just loose. And about almost a decade went by, and I just saw my life get kind of thrown away. And my dad would call me and from time to time and say like, hey, there's a movie, you want to do it? Cool. And I was still doing my auditions, and I was saying to myself, what the fuck? Like, I can't land these auditions. I have to have my dad throw his hand to me for me to get a movie. Like, I must suck. I must be terrible. And I did these movies, and I looked at, and I said, I'm okay. I mean, but is it about that? It's about here. It's inside. I didn't know myself. I didn't want to know myself. So I just kind of tortured myself because I was used to being called certain things or being treated like a certain way or something. And so then I must be this guy. And when I accepted that and became an alcoholic for almost a decade straight, I realized life, slapped me across the face here and there and was like, hey, you gotta, turn things around. And I've had close calls on the bike and in life in general that I was aware of enough to say, okay, I'm going to stop. I remember the first day I came home from work on my motorcycle back then. I stopped at the same bar I'd stopped to every night. Looked at it for a good 10 minutes, dude. I was across the street, and I realized how bad this was. Like, I needed a drink. This is very bad. And so I limited it to 3 times a week, which eventually became once a week, which eventually became just the weekend. That's it. So now I'm at that, and I don't crave it anymore. And that brought me up the trampoline to be able to rebuild myself. So I'm very selective with work. I prefer to finance something myself if I can to do it, because I know that with my control and not being a control freak, which runs in my family, by the way, and I have those traits and I fight that on a daily basis, without being a control freak to accept, other people's opinions, advice, and help, like cinematographers, sound editors, other directors, actors. When an actor tells a director, this shot's better, sometimes it's true. And you have to be able to be okay with it because it's a community of growth. You're not just,
right.
So I learned that whole thing. It took me another 10 years, and here I am in my 30s, late 30s. And so I'm starting to do things the way I feel should be done. I'm distasteful with stuff. Sorry to talk.
Yeah.
Long time,
No. That's beautiful.
It's
just a quick question on the drinking. So that's interesting. You naturally were active. You were, still taking care of your health, but you were drinking all the time.
Yeah.
But you were self-aware. You saw there wasn't a girlfriend or there wasn't a situation you got involved in. It's like, hey, this drink is getting out of control. There wasn't an outside
there was.
force.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there was.
You had a bunch of warnings.
Yes. And close one was on the 405 with my bike. It was a really close call.
And then that was like your wake-up call.
Yeah, one of them.
One of the many.
Yeah. One was I had a fight with a guy in front of a bar, and I saw like what I could become, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person. Yeah. And this guy, he's well known. He lived right across the street, and the next day when I saw him, he came in a neck brace, and I had no idea that fighting that hard would hurt somebody that much. And I come from a martial. I used to compete, but we athletes, we don't like to fight because we're fighters. We just fight because of the art form and the respect and the discipline. But when you go on the tangent of alcohol, there's all that's lost. You're just in the moment and you're not calibrated. You're like a rogue Jedi, And I hurt this guy, but he came to the bar the next day with a neck brace and ordered the same thing and didn't recognize me. And I was just like, fuck, that hit me. And I was like, I have to stop this. I could have been arrested. I could have been put in prison. I got home. I went to In-N-Out with a bleeding hand. I lost my glove. And this girl, it was like Saturday night, and she's like freaking out. And there's blood all over the In-N-Out floor. I'm like, oh, guys, I'm sorry, that motorcycle thing. And you have an accident? I'm going to call the cops. No. I'm just going to grab a double meat and go home. And I just left, went to another one. But, just little things like this and just scary life stuff of losing family members and them teaching you lessons. Earlier on you didn't listen, but now life gives you options to choose the right fork in the road. And sometimes people don't. Sometimes they do. It's hard to choose the right way. It's hard to choose the safer way sometimes.
Especially with alcohol, because with, I know some people, I know a person dealing with a significant other that has a serious, issue. And it's so serious, they don't realize how much harm they're creating in their own life, or and then it's so socially accepted that it's so normalized, like like everything you watch, like there's alcohol.
It sells money.
It sells money. It's funny because I think right now the I don't think I remember watching just recently, like a week ago, that the president of Colombia says the only reason cocaine is considered a drug is because it's from South America. Because right now our studies show that alcohol is way more violent and crazier and has more death and has more this and that and has killed more people that you consume it and to others than cocaine has ever done. So right now our conclusion is the only reason it's illegal because America doesn't grow it.
And hopefully we don't lace it with more shit too.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's another thing.
that's not even considered cocaine.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that people talk about because, I mean, many people have had this conversation. If you legalize drugs, you're going to have a better version and pure version of it.
True.
What makes it really bad is that because it's illegal and people chop it up and they mix it and they do this and do that, that by the time you get it, it's like weed. Weed in the 80s and 90s, you didn't know what the fuck you were getting. And then when you did finally get it, it was like stems and seeds and it would pop and it would fucking do this. It was terrible fucking weed. And now it's legal and it's like, dude, you just opened the bag and you're fucking high. Like, you're like,
it's insane.
what the heck is this? It's like, THC, 1 zillion %, far, far away.
Yeah.
But like, and same thing with cocaine, there's people that have told me that, you try cocaine in Colombia and it's like, dude, it's so fucking pure and this, that. But then it gets to Mexico and you're like, what's going on here? And then it gets to a person over here and then it gets split up. And it's like, dude, this is insane. There's no way of controlling it.
It's true. It's like the government makes so much. They allow it to happen. I mean, they allow it to pass through. Let's arrest that guy for the media bullshit. But then all the lacing comes with that process.
Comes with that process. Like you've seen the movie Two Guns, right?
Two Guns. I want to say
Morgan Freeman, Mark Wahlberg.
No, I have not. No, I should watch it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. CIA allowing everything coming in. This, that. They have their user planes. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, stop it.
The whole American-made trafficking. Great film.
With Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah, the ending was great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like the ending of Aviator. I like the way they did it. The guy in the reflection, the suit, just kind of looks at him. He looks up and he knows. Isolation's on my doorstep.
Catch Me If You Can or something.
Great film. Fantastic. I think Spielberg always wanted to make those movies and just started with magical stuff and then ends up with like, why does Catch Me If You Can feel like a fairy tale? Like, well, kind of does. Yeah, it's just this touch of purity. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but alcoholism is because first of all, a lot of people will never admit they're an alcoholic.
Oh yeah, I've come to terms with that a while.
But a lot of people will not.
It's harder for some people.
They will literally not me. It's it's interesting.
It is. Now I'm able. It's great because I say this for those people out there. The control system is really up to you. It's harder for some people, for sure. But to be able to say no and then kind of forget about it. My sister talks. She used to dabble in drugs here and there, and she was dabble. I mean, she was in it, and she happens to have an addictive personality. I think like my father, and so that's why in the 90s they used to call him Van Graham because he would always carry grams everywhere in cowboy boots or anything. And he came open about it many times over in many interviews, but. Is it something to judge somebody on? Not at all, because it's a masking coping mechanism the user uses for whatever reasons. And Bianca stopped cold turkey, my sister. And she told me something that really triggered me. It really clicked in my head. It was like, it was so hard to count the milliseconds and then to realize only 3 minutes has gone by and it feels like 10 hours. Like, Jesus Christ, like that must be insane. Sorry for using that for those who are Christian on the channel. Yeah, no. I'm universal, but which means I believe in everybody love. Okay, that's it. So basically, hearing that was like, wow, fuck, you had it harder than me, and that put a huge stake in my demon. Like, oh, you can be vanquished easier because you're just a liquid that goes away in 24 to 48 hours. This was like days on ends of coming off and down. Like the down of drugs is something I can't imagine.
But that's the crazy thing. Alcohol is worse, actually.
Yeah, long term. I mean, imagine
you can't do, if you're a serious alcoholic, you can't quit alcohol cold turkey.
Yeah,
you'll die.
Yeah,
they say, right?
Yeah, your liver will I guess react and stuff and poison from the inside out if you overdo it. Right. Anyway, it's something that I've come to terms with, and I'm actually happy just having 2-3 beers on a weekend instead of 15, 20.
Right.
And I just feel sick now when I go past 3 or 4. I feel like I come home like, oh my God. Like, it's sometimes I do a little more if it's a birthday party or something, but I know not to go for a crazy ride on my bike or, look for a fight in the bar because I'm miserable about my life. And Joe Schmo doesn't need to fucking be my punching bag or me his.
Yeah.
It's just pointless to
My rule has always been, like I told you earlier, 2 wheels, 2 drinks. That's it.
It's a great rule.
So if I go somewhere and I know, like, oh, okay, blah blah, bike shed, whatever the case is, it's 2. I'm on the bike.
Who rides with a sidecar anyway? So fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, DGR.
Well, compared to if you're in a car or whatever. Or
it's
an
even worse.
18-wheeler.
When you get on a, you have to have a horn in there. Oh,
18-wheeler, 18 drinks, baby.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, it's just a joke. Fuck, man. Just in case.
I know. A lot of people get offended because they don't know how to deal with problems. So they just, I'm going to mask my emotions thinking that YouTube knows everybody sees my comment and just give a biblical comment so they read it. And then I'm a hero in everybody's eyes. That's not how that works.
No.
It's just reading a scripture. Like,
what did you mean by universal? That you're universal?
I respect all religions.
Yeah.
I respect all religions. I understand where, they kind of all go towards one thing, and that's admiration for something, an emotion, or someone.
But you believe in something, not necessarily
I do.
Atheist. Or
No. I'm not an atheist where it's like, I don't believe in God. This is all science. It's simulation. I'm not really into that type of stuff. There's emotion. Emotions are a byproduct of science, but there's something else. When you're really aware of how life guides you, and you're aware of these processes and that you saw not the same number twice or 5 times or any of that, but maybe that is a thing. Maybe that is a sign from the universe that you have to look at that point, or maybe it's subconscious and you're just tapping into it because you're used to that and you're believing in that process. It's really just, we're all in this together. We're on this rock together. And if there was an asteroid coming, we'd have to work together, which we already are, but it's just hidden under the table. Yeah. So I don't practice one religion and go down the rabbit hole of why it's the best or why, my wife, I married a Muslim woman. She's fully Muslim, but she's modern.
Azerbaijan, right?
From Azerbaijan. And she's very, very universal, very modern. And, as you know, Azerbaijan had turf wars with Armenia and stuff, and it's more political than anything. The real deal will say, no, it's not. And that's, Karabakh is Karabakh and all this. But she has Armenian friends. I have Armenian friends. They agree with us. And it's just it's just a different way of looking at it. It's looking at it from planet Earth instead of looking at it from your borders.
Right.
And how I connect with you on this podcast and all those people watching through this electromagnetic frequency, as my father would say. That I think is more powerful than anything. It also goes down to, like, I shot a Star Wars piece. I know I keep talking about it, but
continue talking about it.
Not the whole podcast, but thank you. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You shoot the piece and people are going to sit back and say, well, this speaks to me more than what's on TV right now. Why is that? It's simple. We're in one universal language of telling stories, of communicating, of growing as a race together in the form of cinema. And it could be in the form of whatever, but the communication about it. Why does your religion talk about God this way and mine this way? Well, because this and that. Well, I was taught this. If you can just look at it from like an alien's perspective or extraterrestrial, I think the proper term would be alien. Extraterrestrial would be from the future back or something. I think Bob Lazar said something like that. So I just used that. I'm like, it's Bob Lazar. I'm using it.
No.
Thanks, Bob. He's, interesting guy. But like just having that type of outlook on things from above, a bird's eye view, is, I think, a greater perspective because you find the solution better. It's like, oh, look, Japan's there, Russia's there. I thought it was always over here. Oh, now I see the truth for what it is.
Yeah, Russia's in Asia.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What? Yeah. Which is crazy. Actually, I was looking at because my wife and I want to invest in property in Japan, mainly in the north and the Hokkaido region. But there is these islands. I forget the name, but it's like the island bridge that connects. Doesn't really connect.
The Squid Game Islands.
Right.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Hey man, who knows? Yeah. I read theories that actually happened in the 80s or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that? But there is this like beautiful chain of islands that are Russian names with Japanese names mixed.
Yeah.
So they own parts, but I wonder what the people from there look like, or if there were ever any, if it was a breeding ground, or is it just strictly political?
It's interesting because I met this beautiful girl. A buddy of mine. We were flying private plane to what city? Anyways, Northern California. And while we were there, I saw this beautiful girl. I was like, oh my God, this girl's really beautiful. And then I'm sorry, but it was from the rear. And she had back dimples and like really fit. And she was wearing like a yoga outfit. I was like, oh my God. And then she turns around and then she's like Asian. And I'm like, oh my God. But she's like, well, like it was really interesting. And then, I said hello and she's like, oh, hi, and this, that. And I go, what's your nationality? She's like, I'm Chinese, but I live in northern China, bordered to Russia. And I was like, oh, so there's like the interesting mix to like, and she's we're very, tempered. And I was like, it is, but very lovely, awesome person. And I never even thought about the connection of Russia and China, like what you're saying.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what?
It's crazy.
I thought it was two different planets, guys.
Yeah, right. It's how we are like perceived, or how we're taught. Also in America, it's like this person discovered America. Well, no, the Vikings did, and maybe there were people before them that did the ice bridge and everything. But like Kazakhstan. Same deal. Mongolia and Russia.
Well, not only that, even Americans, like, some Americans, like, they think once you cross over to Mexico, you're going to start speaking Spanish. Like, ¿qué pasó? Like, English?
Right.
Español.
It's so funny, dude. I met a dude at lunch 3 weeks ago with a guy I help out his motorcycle shop. I'm a mechanic part-time. Yeah. And this guy, he owns an aerospace company. And so this aerospace company is, American made, as he said, and I only buy American made parts.
America.
Right, all this stuff.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm there, I'm drinking a Guinness, right? And I'm like, okay,
Nazi.
Yeah, right.
Getting to the
I'm drinking this strange foreign brown ale brewed in Chicago, but from Ireland. It's not really the real Guinness. I've had the real Guinness. It's amazing. And this guy is looking at my beer, and I'm looking at his clothes, and I'm like, that's made in Pakistan, and that's made in there. And he's
China.
talking. Yeah. And I asked him, I'm like, you have blue eyes. Did you have blonde hair when you were young? And he looks at me and he goes, what do you mean by that question? I'm like, well, it's a simple question. Did you have blonde hair when you were young? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, what's your last name, if you don't mind me asking? And he's like, this is getting too personal, and he drinks his drink a little bit. And he gives me his last name, and it was Stuteberg or something.
Right.
And I said, so you're German? And he goes, turns around and doesn't talk to me the rest of the lunch.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at the bar with my friend here, and he's right there. It's a crowded bar. Doesn't talk to me one more bit. Eats in silence, gets up and leaves. And I was like, wow. So you can own an aerospace company and be limited in your mindset, but I don't think he's limited. I just think he chooses not to, I don't think he chooses not to understand the world is round, and we share these borders, and most of our ancestors are from some place. I mean, it's just part of our human evolution. And some people are so jaded with this, like, factorial thinking. America's a country, and it's a great country. We're the strongest in weaponry and pharmaceuticals, unfortunately.
Who is the famous guy that always has all the sayings? I can't remember his name right now. One of the older guys. It wasn't even his real name.
Oh. Just like sayings as in like...
Yeah, sayings like one of the sayings that I want to quote is if you were born and raised exactly the way that person was born and raised, you'd do exactly the same thing as they would.
Right. Right.
What's his name?
What you're exposed to.
He also has my favorite saying. My favorite saying is, don't argue with stupid people because they'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. You're like,
oh, that's some Jordan Peterson stuff. That's great.
No, this is the OG Jordan Peterson.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, no, Jordan Peterson.
I love Jordan. He's great.
Yeah, I love, he brought up, or I think it was Joe Rogan that brought up, he goes, it's better to be a monster and learn how to control it. It's better to be dangerous and to be a monster and learn how to control it than not to be. And then there's a Japanese, quote that's, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Is that Musashi's by any chance?
Not sure.
That's my favorite. One of my favorite. I love Japanese culture. I'm in love with Japanese culture. But yeah, no, that's. There are just some people that just choose, and I don't think that's growth, man. I think,
well, again, if you're born the way they were born,
sure.
Then
this guy,
exactly the same.
This guy, he travels to different countries to get equipment and machinery for his aerospace company. I'm like, most of the machines you have in your warehouse are Japanese technology. Most of the machine, the engine in your, the fuel injection system in your Chevy is Delphi. I think originally it was Japanese.
Yeah, but that's almost, with all due respect,
Sure.
nitpicking. Like
Yeah,
just
I know.
people don't.
They don't really care. But then the thing is they're so patriotic. It's like, okay, but then don't, boast about this. This is a rock made only of this mineral. Like, no, it's not. And I don't like, and I shouldn't argue it's stupid because they'll beat me up with their experience, but
they'll bring you down to their level.
It's true. And there's a lot of that in my family too. And that's something that kind of segregated me away for a while. But it's like, I just want the most honest. And I think it's because during my youth, I was lied to a lot about a lot of things. And so when you pass life and time was wasted in your perception of life, because that's all you knew, you tend to be that type of touchy, aggravated person, hence why I drank before and why I get into fights. And so now it's more like I just want to see growth, but it's not about the outside world. It's about what's inside you. This is the most important thing. This is why
I like how you're auto-correcting yourself.
Yes.
You're catching yourself.
Yes.
Like,
No, but it's true because it's a constant struggle in my life. It's this thing that, no one's perfect, but this is my path that I need to be aware of and I need to take charge of. And so this conversation leads me down a place I once was, but I know it's going to be a brick wall at the end of the way. So I need to recalibrate. And you seeing that and pointing that out is great because then it's like, yeah, this is actually good here. This feels good. This is growth. So thank you. But this is important because you have to be okay with making mistakes and tripping and falling. This is part of life.
Of course. It's one of my favorite quotes. If you ain't failing, you're not trying.
Yeah, that's true, man. I'm with you on that. And that's as time goes by, you can't count your numbers. You just kind of have to live and deal with it.
Look, man, when you get into drugs, alcoholism, abuse, trauma, whatever the case is, I mean, it all comes down to, another realization that I posted on my social media the other day. You need to be present, man.
Yeah.
You need to be present. Like worrying about what happened and worry about what's going to happen. I've never even seen Kung Fu Panda, but I've seen that quote of Kung Fu Panda, the turtle one. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember it. Remind me.
But it's like yesterday was history. The future is a mystery. And today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Cool.
And you're like, that's fucking dope. And I've never even seen that one. But
I don't remember that one. That's cool.
But it's like, all you can worry about is now. You can't change another person's opinion.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation. I was just working out with a buddy of mine. We were talking about this weekend's, like people gathered up for a ride, and there were some people riding pretty aggressive, and it's like, and he went out of his way and was like, hey, dude, like you guys shouldn't ride like that. That's irresponsible, and you're putting the group in danger, and this, that, and then, hung up the call, and they continued, and later on he was like, I can't believe it. I go, hey, dude, you can't change how they ride. Like, they don't see anything dangerous in that.
Yeah.
Like when I was like, right now I'm taking a break off riding. When I ride and I lead the pack, I know how to balance it where everybody feels good.
Yeah.
But now that I haven't been able to like lead these rides for the last few months, people are like, dude, these things are disasters. Everybody's grouping up like these guys are going here, these guys are going here, and all of a sudden it's a shit show because they don't know how to balance it. But you can't change them.
Yeah.
You can't change those opinions.
Experience will come
You
to
have to accept it. You have to be present.
Try to work with it.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
Fuck it. 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
That's it. Be thankful.
That's great, though, because then you actually dive into yourself and you're like, wow, only 5 minutes has passed and I thought of so many great things.
Yeah.
Let me write this stuff down. I like the writing stuff because I ride with a group where, a couple of the guys are very, very talented riders, but, we're going to cruise and then it's like,
Right, one person just passes a wheel 1 inch and was like, "Whoa, bitch!"
Okay, yeah, and then it's like, okay,
and I'm guilty of that too.
So, but now it's funny because everybody's like, we stop and we all have a good time. Then it's like, okay, I'm not gonna, make this a problem. I'm like, usually not pack leader, unless I'm the fastest guy in the group. And even then, I love to look out for my friends. It's like, they want to get to the destination and have a good time. But normally, I'm like in the middle to the head, just taking my time, especially if things are, and I'm big on slowing time down in myself and just revving off the throttle a tad bit because I know these turns and I know a turn could have mystery. So it's not good to push people who don't realize or believe in everything. It would basically say everything's going to be fine. You know, because you never know when that time comes. I was riding once, and this is when I was in my 20s. I took on the Snake when it was open back in the day, which I hope it opens up soon again because I love that road. But there was that. You remember? Do you remember that road, Snake?
Yeah, of course.
So
right there past Rockstore.
That's right. And so you have the overhead rock kind of crop out. Once you take that left and that right, then I think you go up again, and then there's a straight eventually. That straight, I was on that straight, and I passed some of the dudes who were more experienced than me, and I was much younger. And they're like, okay, whatever. And I get around the turn, and there's a bike in my lane, and it's coming right at me just as I get into the apex for the left-hander. Yeah. And he gets so close to me, he comes in front of my bike this way as I'm turning left. I was, dude, by the grace of by the grace of God and life itself, my right bar end mirror blows off, like completely shatters, it's off. And then he goes off the cliff. And so I'm like, I stop. And this kid was like 17, 18 years old. There were only 2 trees that were sticking out of the canyon wall below that were webbed together through like years of not being cut. And he was in the middle of them. And his bike,
wow.
As I was coming off my bike, stopping and getting out, running, his bike just finished rolling 200 meters that way, just and twisted and like just done. And we all help him out. It took us like 30 minutes to get him out. We're like, don't move. And we got him out. But again, that woke me up. So ever since then, I'm like, okay. And the old guy was like, you shouldn't have passed me. And I was like, you're right. I shouldn't have passed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but when you're in that mindset, you got to learn it. You got to go through the emotions. You got to have that close call. That's just life. You know, you could tell a child, don't touch that. You're gonna get burnt. You know? Or it's like, experience. Don't do it, and then
I told you.
They're gonna learn more from that than don't do it.
You know, it's great though. I learned that with finance too. Like I with my grandfather and stuff. He taught me so much. He was a manager of the Bank of Belgium back in the 60s or 50s for a while. And he helped rebuild my grandmother's family company. They were, I think, in some debt or something or going broke, and he organized a plan, and he taught me a lot of stuff and risks not to take and stuff. So I'm now that he's older, he's 90, 91. My grandma's passed last year. And she was one of my best buddies. She was my beer buddy. You know, we'd have beers together on the beach and stuff in Belgium. Amazing. Oh, I love her. I every time I get on my bike, I talk to her and my grandpa, who's still among us, but he has little signs of dementia here and there. It's tough to see someone go through that. Yeah. But he taught me so much, and how to take that extra 10 seconds or minute or so to think about things that are really important. He hates that I ride a motorcycle. He hates it, and I don't blame him. You know, I'm riding less now with my older age than I was before. I was on the bike every day. Now I'm like, even just coming down here, I didn't have a car to use because I just sold my car for Star Wars. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on the bike. Cool. But also it meets the podcast, and we didn't really talk about riding too much.
I used to ride every day. Then I kind of like slowed down, and now I ride every day.
You ride every day now? Be careful, man. Be careful. I mean, just believe you're going to be all right when you get on the bike. I believe in that.
I mean, I used to take a gun course, and the instructor made a great point. He goes, I'm the most experienced person here, but I carry a gun every day. And because I carry a gun every day, I have more, statistically speaking, I have more of a chance of getting hurt by a gun because I'm with a gun all the time.
Sure.
And same thing, the more you ride, the more chances you are. Cause,
it's true.
It's back to the whole thing. There's people that, crashed or are going to crash.
Yeah.
I wrote that book, Fearless Rider.
Yeah.
When I wrote that, I had 20 plus years, never had an accident in my life.
This book, great book. I'm going to read it. Well, I didn't read it, but I'm sure it's great.
I never had an accident in my life for 20 plus years.
Really?
Yeah. And then I wrote the book, and then fucking Tesla brakes in front of me and whatever the case is. But this is like,
wow, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was the mentality of why I didn't crash. you know, for so many years. But there's so many basic things, you know, and it's just like courses or safety. Like like you know, perfect example. So many people save up some money to buy their first motorcycle, and they're like, I'm gonna spend $4 or $5 grand and buy my motorcycle and do that. But then they have like $100 to buy safety gear. That's
Exactly
like,
my point. Every time I see somebody, I bought the jacket. What about the pants?
Yeah. What about the pants? What about
Boots.
the boots? What about the shoes?
Yeah.
Hey, gloves?
The gloves?
Helmet?
Yeah,
Anything
dudes that
like,
ride-
you know, oh, I'm gonna go buy it used. Like, you gonna buy a used helmet? Like, no, dude.
yeah,
like,
it's a big one.
You got to spend at least $1,000 or $1,500 on like, you know, fucking gear.
Yeah.
You know, minimum.
Agreed.
But there's stuff like that, safety courses. You know, your surroundings. It's just stuff that I would talk about all the time when I used to work at the dealership, or when I would, you know, talk about motorcycles.
That's good you did that at the dealership, because in this country, you can buy a 1,000cc motorcycle at 16. In Europe, go fuck yourself. You can't. You got to be on a 150.
It's each category, right?
It's fantastic. Every European rider I ride with, and this goes right based on what we're talking about now, is insane, talented. They ride either an old, outdated bike, older, carbureted, Triumph with like, I don't know, how much horsepower, like 60 horsepower, 50 horsepower, 58 horsepower. And they are smoking guys in R6s that have been riding for like 10 years.
Right.
But don't know how to ride since they were 5 or 6 years old. These guys were born on 2 wheels. And they classified. When they're 16, they have this. When they're 18, they get the license for this CC. And then so forth. So by the time they're 24, they're like, yeah, I don't need a 1,000. I'm on the track. Yeah. Exactly. Because that's when I used to track, because I track recreationally for fun. And I had a CBR 1000 Fireblade, and it was a great bike. My best bike was a ZX-10R, but that was later in life. The best track bike was an SV650. Amazing weapon. And I would smoke guys on leader bikes that didn't know what the hell they were doing, just because it was just, you learn to ride this bicycle and you have bigger wheels now, because I'm eating the sidewall, you know. I'm on a Triumph Speed Twin right now, and it's just like, I don't know, 90 horsepower with the tune, 95 maybe, max.
Yeah, you don't need more than that.
You don't need more than that, especially in Los Angeles traffic. It's you're taking the apex at 60, 70, 80 miles per hour in the canyons. It's like, you're fine. You're not putting the knee down. If you do, it's like, well, big whoop. You're over the double yellow anyway.
Right.
You know, like, I'm not going to do that anymore. So
there's
it's just,
another car coming on the opposite lane. It's going to be on your side out anyways. So
yeah, exactly. I started riding when I was about playing around 8, 9, but really riding on the streets in teenager. Like, you know, like my first motorcycle was far too powerful with 350 KTM 2-stroke when they were street legal. And this was in Canada. So it's like super rare to find now. And I rebuilt the motor twice. I put like 36,000 miles on that bike. For a thumper, it's insane. And that was my daily bike, but I had it hidden from my parents for like 8 months. And then they found out, and I had to sell it. But we had 2 apartments. One we were selling that we lived in before, and then one we were living in at the time. And so I was going to animation school, because I did about 6.5 years of animation school and work.
in Canada.
In Canada. And you believe how much stuff was outsourced in the 90s to Canada and Korea at the time. South Korea, I believe it was. It wasn't North, I think. I have to look back at it. But I would ride 5.5, 6 blocks, park the motorcycle, because I loved riding so much, park it in the bicycle parking of the apartment we were selling, and then lock it up and walk 4 blocks to school. And then just do that every day for like 8 months. And then finally one day on an intersection, my father noticed my hair out of my helmet. And I always wore, because I'm a huge fan of Pokemon, I always wore a Pokeball on my belt. I'm a fucking geek. Yeah. And I still have it at home. And I carried my favorite Pokemon, and it was an Onix. And so I'm at the stoplight, and he sees my Pokeball on the belt, and he U-turns he had a King Ranch expedition. He U-turns the King Ranch, comes behind me, and I know the car, and I pull over like I would for a cop. And he comes out, and he's like, sell it. And I was like, okay. So I rode it all the way. He followed me. He says, is this where you've been parking? Yeah, I parked it there. Okay, you're going to sell it. So I asked every student in school, didn't want it. Some Canadian dude from a ranch bought it. And that was that. But I super motored it out. It was a fucking beast.
So since you were a kid, he's just been coming into your life and saying, sell it.
Everything.
Because he did that. Yeah.
I know. My apartment, everything. I don't think he likes me being happy because he's unhappy. If that makes sense.
I don't know. I could see him.
We're going to open up that rabbit hole.
The Expedition King Ranch.
It's a great car, great truck.
Yeah,
it had like these cool sway bars and stuff on it. It was really badass. And 4x4, so we would go off-road. And there, you know, but my father and I, as soon as I moved to LA and I was in my early 20s, moved back because I was born here. But he was like, let's buy a Harley. I want to ride with you. I was like, oh, cool. That was like one of the highlights. So he went to Bartels, of course, and he had
Bartels. I love Bartels.
Ron and who's Ron's dad?
It's Ron and
They're great guys.
yeah, it's Ron and there's Colton.
Who was the Japanese? Was it Yoshi in the garage? Was it?
Yeah. Yoshi made my bike.
Dude, Yoshi's the shit.
The garage company.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Yoshi's the guy with the checkered floor place on Venice Boulevard?
I believe it used to be there,
Yeah, so who was
but he's moved like twice.
So not that Yoshi. Maybe I'm mistaking the name of the gentleman, but the guy who worked in tech at Bartels.
Oh, I don't know. No, yeah.
He was a Japanese dude, and when I bought my Sportster, he looked at me and he's like, "You bought a Sportster?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Not a good Sportster." And I was like, "What?" XR 1200. I was like, XR 1200? He goes,
Great bike.
next week, come back. And I was like, okay. So next week, my dad's like, you bought a bike? He bought it for me. I was like, cool, thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. He had his Road King. I had my Sportster, and we're riding for like a week. It's great. And I think it was actually longer. I think it was a couple months.
What color was his Road King?
His Road King was, I wish, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It was that original purple, but he stripped it and had it brushed.
Oh, the cobalt blue. They look like purple.
Yeah, exactly. That one. It was a anniversary edition.
Yeah.
And he had that, so he rode that. And
Like
it was
2009 or something?
This was a 99.
99.
And it had the Magneti Marelli fuel injection system, which was supposed to be terrible, but that bike now has, I think, 60-something thousand miles. It's still, I did one primary chain adjustment, and it hasn't clacked since.
Wow.
I'm like, slap a dry clutch on it, call it a day. It'd be sick. So I think it was more about a month or so. We were riding around, and I go back, and I talk to the Japanese tech guy, and he's like, get the XR 1200. So I go to the showroom floor, and I see it there on the revolver in the corner of Bartels. They have the one that's like on the stand.
Yeah.
But it was turning, and it was an orange one with the Super Trap full system, which was supposed to be the lightest titanium exhaust or aluminum titanium mix.
I had the Super Trap.
Oh, dude, great.
I had on my Dyna, my FXTXT back in the
with the one pipe.
With the one pipe, and had like the closed off thing.
Yeah, and you can like change the levels of it.
Yeah.
So cool. And I went in there, and I got hassled into, trade-in price being $3,000 for a brand new
They give you 1,000. Yeah.
And so I'm ripping on the XR 1200, and I come to the house because my dad's like riding Sunday. And go to the old place and Rock Store and stuff. Cool. So I ride over, and he hears the bike, and we were in Marina Del Rey. He had an office right above the garage, and he looked down. And he goes, comes downstairs all angry, and then sees the Harley Davidson sign on the side of the tank, and goes, "It's a Harley?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wow!" And I was like, "Oh my God, thank God." He accepts. I don't want to fucking trade this thing in for a fucking cruiser, man. Like, this thing is awesome. And he rode, and he was like, "That's a fun bike." And I was like, "Yeah, this is what Eric Buell built for Harley before he was like fired last year and all that shit." And it was fantastic. And I've had 9 XRs. I crashed 4 of them on the track, and then the other 5 were street projects that I sold, bought. And sold. One of my friends still has his. I think he's got like, God, I don't know, almost 100,000 miles on the damn thing. It's fucking insane. He's rebuilt the motor once, top end.
No, it's funny because I was working for Harley selling those, and they weren't big sellers back then.
I know, they were European.
Yeah.
Now they're like sold out $10,000 for one with like 30,000 miles.
Now they're selling like fucking hotcakes. Even me, I'm like, oh man, I want one of those.
I have one. I'm selling one right now. My last one for Star Wars to finish post production. It's all polished and looks like an old H2 Howard Hughes jet.
I'm launching. So I'll tell you what I'm working on a positive note is I'm working on a new site called throttlelink.com. And it's going to be a magazine / 5-10 minute interviews of what people are riding.
Cool.
But it's also going to be a directory for motorcycle riders.
Great.
So if you ride, you could put like, Kris, I have these motorcycles, and then I can join and be like, I got these motorcycles, and this is my favorite ride. Oh yeah, well, this is my favorite ride, and then we can like link up and be friends, and we can see each other's rides, and all the big motorcycle clubs like VVMC or a Beachside Moto or those people, Beverly Hills Motorcycle Club,
great guys.
They're going to be able to put their rides on there. So then, because instead of going to like belonging to a Facebook group or following a person on Instagram, you might be visiting from Europe and you'll be like, well, where do I go?
Yeah.
Who do I ride with? What's going on? So you'll be able to go to Throttle Link, and that's the goal of it. So
that's the title?
ThrottleLink.com.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a really great
The
title.
logo looks fucking insane.
Sick, dude.
I did the first article, which I'm going to have you fill the one out too.
I'd love to, yeah.
It looks fucking insane. The feedback's good. I got 2 journalists that liked it so far.
Great.
And they're going to dedicate 1 article a month, which I was like, score.
Dude, that's great. It's a
but-
great community to do that through.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but my point is that if you sign up as a writer, a directory as a writer, you can also post your bike for sale too.
Even better.
So instead of just going on Auto Trader or Facebook Marketplace,
offer up and all that stuff.
you go with like, hey, Chris is selling this bike, and you
Direct.
you could say Shannon or Franco. Do you know Chris? Is that a legit bike? Yeah, it's a legit bike. Cool. And then it's gonna be much better.
Did you say Shannon as in Shannon Sweeney?
No, Albright.
Albright. Okay, I think.
Albright
Wait.
Motorcycle Club. She does this sewing.
Yes, I know Shannon Albright. She was a friend with my ex.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
awesome.
she was part of the Lidas, right?
A
Blonde
she's like this.
girl or
Yeah,
redhead girl? Well, yes.
blonde.
Yes.
She's like this. I don't know if she's an elitist, but I know she's with them.
Yes, Gavin Fax and all those ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Shut
I know the Lidas quite well.
Shut up, Shannon. Alitas.
I know the Lidas quite well. Fun times. I haven't seen Gavin in a while. I used to see her roll up to the old place. Like, that girl can ride. She can ride, and she has that giant Road King with all the seats, like
I don't think I met her.
sheepskin covers on it. She rides hard. That old. It's her dad's bike, I think, that she still has. It's really cool. It's an older bike, but yeah, no, I know the group.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Is like, how do you get all that put together?
No, it's a fantastic idea.
So
Really
and then
cool.
I was testing some names, and I was like, like Motorcycle Hub or like stuff like that, and then I was like, ThrottleLink's pretty fucking
Throttle Inc.
Throttle Link.
Throttle Link. Really cool.
ThrottleLink.com.
Really cool. I like the fact you can sell your bike because it's personal. It's like, this is only about motorcycles.
Well, you could see where the rides are at.
It's
or you can
fantastic.
hook up with other riders.
This will do real well, man.
Or I'm going to basically send the form out to everybody that rides bikes. So I'll send you the form.
Send it to me right away. Yeah.
But if you're a business in the motorcycle industry, I'm going to send you the business form. And then it's just a 10-question questionnaire, like when you fill out a magazine.
Sure.
What got you into motorcycles? What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? You
Cool.
fill it out, and then I'll put it into like a magazine article format. And
That's great. I want to say something if it's possible.
yeah.
I help out at a shop from time to time just for fun for a friend of mine, and his name's Kevin, and he's the guy everybody brings there. I mean, Beachside Mo knows him very well. Deus and Bike Shed know them very well. He built a couple bikes for Dutch at Bike Shed, and we usually We usually took in a lot of Bach builds that need service and stuff. So we primarily focus on Triumph, modern classic Triumphs, like the one I ride.
Yeah. We miss
just
you,
the
Remy,
twins.
Laura.
Yeah, Remy, and he just had his baby.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful baby. He sent me a picture. He's like,
I know.
Tonton Kris, Uncle Chris in French. And I was like, oh, yeah, it goes beautiful. I'm happy for them. They worked really hard with Angel Motorworks and all that.
I was like, Sacre Bleu, he looks just like you.
That's great. But if you could send, I mean, sorry, Kev, I know you don't like being in front of, he doesn't like being in the spot. He's an amazing mechanic.
Yeah.
And he started in his garage, and now he's like the Triumph guy of Southern California, just because he loves what he does. Like, I never seen someone like know so much, and other shops come to him to repair these specific bikes. Even British Customs sends us stuff.
Yeah, British Customs.
They're awesome guys. Was it Julian, British Customs?
I forgot who it was, but they worked on Jaime's bike, and they did chrome swing arm and
Oh yeah, they're great.
Brembo brakes and
They
front
came from
ends
nothing in the time when the Triumphs were just coming back. So we're in the same category. I mean, Triumph America called Kevin to come test ride the Tigers and do a promo for them and stuff. And he hates being on camera. He hates it. And he's going to laugh when he sees this. But I'd love you to send him the article, because as a business, he has a huge following, and it could help your app or however you're gonna have it.
The app's gonna come out. That's gonna be
Cool.
stage 2. Yeah. The articles, I'm publishing articles. I just published the first one maybe like 5 days ago, and then I'm gonna be publishing more and more. And then I just want to do like quick interviews. Like, I'm not gonna do a full podcast like this.
Sure.
That's what Ride Boundless is for.
Sure.
And it's called ThrottleLink by Ride Boundless.
Great,
So it's
fantastic.
still-
You got to
so it's
link
still
it all up. Yeah, no pun intended. You have to.
Well, that's the ThrottleLink.
Yeah, exactly. It's very smart.
Yeah.
I smells really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait till you see the logo.
Oh, I
It's
can't
fucking
wait,
like,
yeah.
I would say, like, people like this logo.
I
which
love
is
it too.
cool.
I think it's great.
People are like, that's awesome. But throttling, so far the people that seen it, they're like, dude, that's a fucking great logo.
Sick,
Just
man.
so
I love.
fucking
Is it going to be on the when you send me the link or?
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, I would love to
I'll
see
send
it.
you the first article and I'll send you the questionnaire.
Please.
And the thing is, I think the monetizing aspect of it is businesses will be able to put their businesses on there for free for like the basic listing. But then I'm just gonna make like a package of like, hey, for this package you get highlighted for your city or recommended, for your city.
It's brilliant.
For this package, I'll do a badass article. For friends, I'm going to do articles, right? But for this package, you're going to get the article highlighted and featured. And for this package, we'll do a 30-minute private interview promoting your business, what you offer, how you do, plus the magazine, plus,
Cool.
So it's something like that.
That's great.
But I'm still
man.
figuring that out. But I want the directory to be free for the writers.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to sell shit. I want them to be able to promote shit. I was talking to a lot of the clubs, and they're like, one of the daunting things is like looking at all these calendars and seeing who's doing a ride what weekend to make sure you don't interfere with that ride. I want this to be one source for that.
Interesting. That's smart.
Yeah,
That's great. Like you can link up, or you can not interfere.
or
Own
you could
routes.
sell.
Yeah.
or you could just read people's fucking writing.
Yeah, where they've been, and that's just because so many people have some great routes.
Yeah,
I've been on some routes. It's like I never knew. I've been living here for
Yeah.
I've never done this route, and it's brand new paved road. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've taken people on so many rides, and they're like, dude, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I did a ride 6 months ago, and I was like, I want to get lost. So we did all Malibu Canyon, and then we came out through Camarillo, and then we went into Ojai, and then I was like, you know what, you guys want to ride? They're like, yeah. So I was just looking at my map, and I was like, it's like go 101, and then I'm like, but the map shows a canyon here.
Yeah.
So I kept going canyon, mountain, canyon. I kept going more canyon. We were on top of this fucking hill I've never seen. Anyways, 3 hours later, from
Santa Barbara.
Cold Springs Tavern through the back end.
I know which road you're doing. It's amazing.
It's fucking amazing.
Amazing.
I didn't even know what it was called. I was just literally looking at
It's
more.
over Santa Barbara. It's like above Santa Barbara. I
Yeah.
think. And then you have the overlook.
Huge.
I know, and it almost looks like you're in Iran or something because it's very
Yeah.
dry. I know. I've
But
been there
when
once.
when I went there,
Good find. It's a hard one.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
I've ridden to Ojai a billion times. I've ridden to Santa Barbara a billion times. I've ridden Malibu. But to put that all together, I was like, holy shit, this shit's insane. And everybody was like, dude, this is amazing. And a fire had just happened there like a year ago, so it was closed off.
Oh, shit,
So when
yeah.
we got there, it was like all mystic.
cool.
It looked like Mars. And
Yeah, man. That's so badass, dude. I love it. I did that ride with a buddy who used to live in Santa Barbara. Well, at least I'm sure some of those roads. And he took us up these small roads and a lot of hairpin turns, but I love that with
Yeah,
the
it was
bike I have.
hairpin,
It's,
exactly.
it's so great. It's
Yeah.
so nice. It's so great.
Yeah,
and the
fucking
road's clean.
90, like,
yeah. And it's like 5 miles per hour and it's like X'd off with some good graffiti. Like there's like a crossover there. Oh my God. But you like just amazing ergonomics and how the state of California or whatever, the cities interlink these roads and take care of them. They never promote them. It's just beautiful
and then
back
the
roads.
neighborhoods and everything.
Yeah.
And my GPS was really trying to get me off that, but I was like,
Yeah, I wonder why, right? I'm not going to go into theorist shit, but yeah.
Well, another thing I was going to bring up, talking about your Star Wars filming that you did in Humble, it's just like, it's crazy because there's a statistic that says like 54% of people in East LA have never been to the beach. Something like that, like what? Like you live in East LA, and
it's right there. Yeah,
and,
it's true.
And I used to live in Santa Cruz for a little bit, and it's crazy because from Santa Cruz to San Francisco, it's 90 miles. But
Yeah,
I know
beautiful,
a lot
by
of
the way.
people. So beautiful, dude. It's
Amazing.
Like people have no idea.
Skyline and all.
Pacifica, fucking no.
Some of the best riding I've ever had. I'm doing a road trip, by the way, in June, July. So
and that's my point, which throttlelink.com,
Yes.
you'll be able to see that ride.
yes, yes, I'll definitely post it.
Yeah,
Sick.
exactly. But PCH, California, my point is that you can, like one of my favorite rides is all PCH. You start off like at 7 a.m. and ride all the way up.
It's beautiful.
You don't know where the fuck you're at.
That's why we live here.
Like if somebody, but so many people don't know it. Like so many people have never been on PCH all the way up, like Carmel, Monterey.
Oh my God, don't get me
fucking
started.
Big,
My wife's favorite.
yeah,
Beautiful.
Brigsby Bridge, all those
Yeah.
things. Hertz Castle, like so
Yeah.
many people have never seen this shit. And I'm
Castle,
like,
I've
dude,
been
this
once.
is so beautiful. You've been once,
Only
dude. I
once,
used to
I
go
know.
there like fucking 3 times a year.
So
My
beautiful.
mom loves that thing. The Madonna Inn. Have you been in the Madonna Inn?
I haven't. I know it. I've heard of this.
Dude,
I've
the
never
Madonna
been.
Inn's a pink hotel, and they have amazing breakfast.
I ride
and-
by it. I rode by it a few times.
You
and-
have
yeah,
to
of
stop
course.
in there, dude.
Okay, I will
And then
next
it's got
time.
the old school, urinal where everybody's pissing, and you see everybody's dick. And
Oh, is that
It's got like a
NorCal?
mountain.
That's north?
No, that's Santa Barbara, bro. That's like probably 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away.
Holy shit, I'm going on the next ride.
Dude, easy. It's a next right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I love going up Santa Barbara. It's my wife's favorite city, that and Carmel.
Oh my God, Carmel, Monterey.
And Big Sur, when are they going to open that shit up? Like,
What, has it been?
Sorry-
oh yeah,
sorry
because
for
of the
talking
rain.
about that.
Because of the rain.
yeah, the mudslides. And dude, we camped in Lime Kiln on the way to, we'd always do like a San Francisco road trip, but this year I'm going to go to Vancouver.
Nice.
Just going to get some panniers and then throw my essentials and then go. I would like
Nice.
to wear the same underwear the entire trip, but
yeah.
we stop in
What is
Lime
it?
Kiln.
You got front to back, back
then
to
you can
front,
switch it up.
inside out,
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
out,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
front.
And then you use the other one as 2 and 2.
Yeah, something like that.
You know,
Fucking
let the sack dry out.
disgusting.
yeah, my panniers are gonna smell.
Yeah.
But we go off and under the bridge, and you camp in Lime Kiln, and that's where the first bridge collapsed. I remember I did this one trip, and we were about 4 hours late because my buddy was like, I don't have a bike, my bike's not starting, and so my friend who was already in the ride calls his wife and is like, hey, I'm gonna have the bike towed out to Kris so our friend can ride it. And I was like, dude, you're a rock star. Thank you. So I stayed back because his first time, he was from England. He didn't know where he was going. Like, stay with me. I've done this trip. Let's go. And so waited 4 hours. Tow truck came, gassed on up, and we went up. And we were 4 hours late. And I remember I was listening to it was Interstellar. And it was the song Away From Home or Stay. And it was so, I couldn't see the road. It was so dark up there. And it was at the base of Big Sur, right before you go into the nitty gritty of the forest grounds and everything. And my friend Neil, who's an English guy, this big old 6'4" soccer champion, and he's got a flashlight. And I see his flashlight way over there because, it zigzags in perspective.
Right.
And I'm like, that's got to be the team because we told them
Or
no
fucking
reception
aliens.
or fucking there was nobody on the road, and he's like, I could see your headlights, and then the other guy who led the bike was like, I could hear my Predators on the Thruxton. It was like, whoa, whoa, and I was on an MH900 Ducati, so I could hear the dry clutch from like shifting way over there, and they had a video of it, and I watched it later, and the sound was just insane because it was so amplified.
Right.
But it was stars, Pacific Ocean, and then blocks of black on the right, which were the mountains. And those roads, man, they were paved, but it was so fucking, what an experience. And we got up there and we woke up in the morning right on the sand because I didn't know where I was. We had a little bit of whiskey. It was great. Fire pit. It's just so magical. Woke up on a table. I slept on a picnic table. And one of my friends was submerged in water. Like, he woke up from the tide coming in. But we were surrounded by water because it was high tide in the morning. And then it started pulling out as the afternoon came in. And the ranger comes over, and my English friend's a crack. He's great. He used to date Melanie B from the Spice Girls, and he's got some great stories. I sold a painting to Neil. He's great. If he's watching this, Neil, love you, mate. And he was like, I'll take a coffee, sugar, black, with no milk and cream, like on the side. And she's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Get off the fucking picnic tables. But it was the most beautiful thing ever because there were broken trees. There was the rocks.
It's beautiful.
I'll never forget it.
It's beautiful. I had a girlfriend of mine named Maloa, and her dad was a park ranger or a ranger in Carmel. And they got to live in one of the houses on Carmel at the park, and they had their own private beach. And I want to say there was a lighthouse nearby that they would manage.
So cool.
And they lived there for like 11, 12 years, dude.
Fantastic.
And we would just go to Maloa's house, the guitar, fucking weed,
It's escape, dude.
And Carmel, dude, are you talking? We're talking about teenagers, just like, we had our kayaks. Oh my God.
It must have been great back then, man.
Dude, that's
lucky.
one
Yeah.
of the moments that you just wish.
It's your Stranger Things.
You're just like, oh man, I wish I can go back to that.
Yeah, man, I know.
Just
I know.
fucking. Anyways, we got an hour 43 minutes. I'm gonna cut it off there because I want you to come back,
Cool.
and we want to do more of this.
Sure, man, no
And,
problem. That's fine.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you for coming
Thank you.
back to the. This was round.
Round
This is round 1.5.
0.5. Yes.
Whatever what I meant.
I'm looking forward to round 2.
But awesome.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you, Kris.
Thank you so much.